So WNBA fans are losing their mind. They're calling conspiracy. They're calling conspiracy about the Indiana Fever.
Have you heard? Regarding the absurd conspiracy theory, causing the WNBA fans to lose. Their thoughts asserting that the league is Caitlin Clark's rigged games are, claiming that the WNBA president made Sydney Colson's fever indicator barely. Can you believe it was done to earn Clark a ring? However, this is where things really get interesting. Folks are beginning to a plan that should Clark win a championship now just due to the fact that on a super squad, their acting is insane. Seems the only team stacking is the Fever. You may be wondering, talent, what's the true story here? So let's dissect this entire circumstance and determine what's actually happening.
It's like claiming that it's a whole like rigged thing, that the WNBA is rigging it so that Caitlin Clark wins. And the reason why the WNBA is rigging it for Caitlin Clark is Sydney Colson.
Fans of ASUS are going crazy about the Fever is Sydney Colson's signature. The entire WNBA world seemed to have vanished. Insane, but why are they so frightened? Let's dissect it. Sydney Colson, a backup guard who had an average of only, last season, 2.5 points per game is abruptly in the middle of a crazy WNBA. Do you think conspiracy theories are real? A player that hardly ever appears on the court is now generating all of this drama.
You know, you need to have some caution, all right? We don't know how all these people are going to mix. We don't, not yet. But the idea that this is a big setup, oh God, here we go.
Fans of the Aces are screaming foul, claiming that the league is using coercion to. You heard correctly. Give Caitlin Clark a call. Yes, they believe the WNBA to be manipulating the game to benefit Clark. But this, where things start to get pretty intriguing. According to fans, Kathy Engelbert of the WNBA, the president herself called for signatures. Listen to this, Colson.
All right, the jig is up, Kathy. And you guys can call me a hater from what I'm about to say. I don't care. I'm a big dog. I can stand on it. Kathy made the call. Kathy made the call because you mean to tell me that two-time WNBA champion, the face of the God Dog League, okay? The Aces' main girl, right-hand man, Sydney Colson, is no longer returning to the Aces and is signing with the Indiana Fever? First of all, do the Fever even have any more roster spots open? How many folks are you guys gonna sign?
Now, you may be wondering why a backup is important to the league president. Well, point guard, that's precisely These fans are certain that the Fever is acting avaricious and self-centered by signing. But let's be honest, Colson, is this really? Naturally, the truth about Colson is Caitlin Clark is the focus of this response. The AC's fans are yelling because they're afraid.
Out. What do you mean Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever? What does that mean? Indiana is just being so fucking greedy right now. They took DB, they took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Like, why would they take Sydney from us? Why would they take Sydney from us? What the fuck we ever do to Indiana? Except beat them. But like, what the fuck we ever do to Indiana? Indiana better win a chip this year. They better win, or all of this is for nothing. All this shenanigan they're doing, breaking families apart, taking people from us, they better win the chip.
Consider this. Clark is the most thrilling newcomer to the league. She has been shattering records for years, and currently, she has a strong squad. The writing is visible to the Aces fans surrounding her on the wall, and they resent it.
The league, the Fever organization are doing everything they should do to make sure their star is happy and that their star gets a ring. I didn't know they were gonna load up like this though. Dewana Bonner, Sydney Colson, just re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. You already have Aaliyah Boston. You have Caitlin. You have Lexi. You got the MAGA Barbie. Look, this is gonna be good and bad for the Fever.
The worst part, though, is that Clark wins a title. Some supporters are now intending to defame her already, saying she only prevailed due to a super team's ability to. You think the mental acrobatics. They say that they're doing 1 minute Nobody desires to engage in play with Clark, and afterward, they're sobbing over her having two great assistants.
Can I keep it real? That's doo-doo. That's poo-poo. You shiznit yourself. All right? You look like a damn fool. Whichever fans are running around out there saying no one wanted to play with Clark, oh, double middle finger, stone cold stunner straight to your face hole, okay? You look like a damn idiot right now.
Let's discuss this incredible team. For a brief moment, the Fever was nonsense. Made some wise decisions, but are they truly that much more powerful than others? League teams are the aces themselves, possess a stacked roster, and the Fever isn't the only squad with several all-stars, and honestly, Sydney Colson is a decent player, but she isn't really evolving. She is a reliable backup in this game. Excellent pals and presence in the locker room. She isn't with Kelsey Mitchell at all. The distinction between the Fever and good or terrible.
She's friends with Kelsey Mitchell. She's a great locker room presence. I know you might want to complain about the agent. You might want to complain about Cheryl Swoop's link to the agent as well. But like, she's still a good locker room player, and she wouldn't be at Indiana if she didn't want to be.
So, what's actually happening here is straightforward. The Aces supporters fear Caitlin Clark. They recognize her potential. Indiana's team is assembling around her, and they're panicking rather than expressing concern that they're creating these outrageous conspiracies theories, but the truth is that Aces supporters' response reveals more regarding their apprehension of Caitlin Clark than they're terrified of any genuine conspiracy. Clark's potential actions in the league that they have already attempted to discredit her. She even participates in her second season.
Start this, and yeah, there's a narrative out there that Kathy made the call. All right, Kathy Engelbert. Oh, we got to make sure we get Caitlin Clark the championship. And I told you there's narratives floating. Number one, they're freaking out. Number two, the next thing you're about to hear is Caitlin Clark needs a super team to win a championship. So they're going to downgrade her status, and they're going to shit on her over that. It's already started. That's where they're going with this, folks.
You may be wondering now if no conspiracy exists, so why are players swarming to Indiana? That's the truth. Narrative here, and it's not due to some players' desire to participate in the grand WNBA scheme. Considering Caitlin Clark is that excellent that people recognize the chance to participate of a unique object to play with a skill across generations.
But I will say with that one, you have now got like Colson, who is big. You've got like the Warner Bonner. You've got all these players, but like the reason why they went to the Fever is nothing to do with Kathy Engelbert.
Initially, let's discuss. Natasha Howard has a dream of performing. Can you believe it? But why the Fever? Howard, this is where things start to get interesting, sees an opportunity to participate in something. Clark is the particular person she wants to play with. Yes, but she also recognizes the possibility of her personal development is similar to joining a team, approaching the status of a dynasty. Who wouldn't desire
But like,
that?
let me explain why every new player is playing with them. Natasha Howard clearly wants to be there. She really wants to be in Indiana. She really wants to play specifically with Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham got traded there. Then Jaylen Brown got traded there, is almost certainly going to be cut before the season starts.
Now, recall when it was believed that no one would wish to collaborate with Clark. Those people are currently retracting their statements. Sophie Cunningham is doing the same. Relocate to Indiana after seeing the possibilities of playing with Clark and taking part in of a competitive group.
She would not be there if she did not want to be there. And it's funny seeing the old WNBA fans crash out, the Aces fans, the Sky fans losing their mind, because who would have ever guessed, by the way? Who would have ever guessed? When you have a top 5 player and a top 15 player on rookie deals, who would have ever guessed when you have those two things that the team was going to be better? or they were going to be able to get free agents.
Hold on, though. There's more to this. Sydney Colson has her own motivations for the story. For becoming a part of the craze you may be. Pondering her situation, it turns out she and Kelsey Mitchell are buddies. Colson sees an opportunity to be a real support and help a successful team. She will also be able to play with her friend. For her, it's like a dream come true.
She can still average her 12-13 points a game. She's got a chance of winning a championship, and she doesn't have to play 35 a game. If she went to Phoenix, she would have to still play 35 a game.
You may be asking yourself, but isn't this merely assembling a terrific team? Well, not so. Let's get to the bottom of the Fever quickly. The cap space needed to execute these maneuvers. Their best players are on rookie agreements that allow them flexibility. It's a savvy team to sign numerous players, building in a straightforward manner.
Did people not realize they lost Wheeler's contract? They still were way under the salary cap last year. And they lost Wheeler. Everybody, every single person knew coming into this season, even with getting Kelsey Mitchell back, that they had the ability to sign 2 max contract players.
However, this is where things really get. It's intriguing how the Fever can draw in players isn't due to some dubious backroom transactions. They're using their cap space efficiently, and players are observing, consider the Fever are assembling a competitive team, and they're acting in accordance with the
But everyone knew they had the ability, on top of Kelsey Mitchell, to sign 2 max contract players because of the how cheap everyone else is on the roster. The next highest paid player after their 3 max contract players, Katie Lou basically 4, is 100k Sophie Cunningham. They got a bunch of players on rookie deals. Like, that's the thing with the Aces. The Aces have 4 max contract players, and they have to fill it out with rookie deals.
Let's have a conversation. For a brief moment, Sydney Colson is. She won't be just any player, though. Excellent for the Fever, above everything. She will present herself well in the locker room. That is enormous. She may not be the distinction between the team's performance or not, but she will undoubtedly improve the team.
The thing is with the Indiana Fever is they're able to do this because they're 2 of their 3 best players last season, arguably their 2 best players last season, were both on rookie deals, and they're both still on rookie deals next year, which is a huge thing, which is absolutely huge. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to Lexi Hulk. She's on the last year of a deal, whether they want to pay her or not.
What is the actual situation here? Players are swarming Indiana due to a confluence of circumstances that ensure Clark's success. Although authority is appealing, it's not the entire narrative. The Fever has produced an setting in which players observe chances for leadership development and success as if they've discovered the key formula for creating a successful team, and everyone is eager to sample.
Caitlin Clark got a squad now. After DeWanna Bonner signed with the Indiana Fever, they now have 5 of the top 30 scorers in the league last year when it comes to points per game, and they've also improved their defense and overall toughness, while proving that players do indeed want to play with Cece. After all, their life gets easier on the floor, they'll make more in endorsements, they'll gain more fans, and they'll have a chance to win. Because the Fever shouldn't just be thinking championships, they should be thinking dynasty in the Caitlin Clark era.
Everybody. Okay, let's discuss this entire super. You may be thinking of 4 team things. A super team must consist of all stars. Correctly, but wait, we're going to dispel this fallacy completely. Make sure the Fever has a lot of talent, yet the problem is that they're not alone. The liberty of those with a stacked roster. And they're releasing lineups for the Aces that appear to be all-star games each. Why is everyone losing their sleep at night? Thoughts regarding the Fever?
Is this a super team? You could argue, yeah, but like you could also argue because they got 4 of the all-star team last year.
Yes, that's correct. Last time, the Fever received 4 stars. Year seems remarkable, doesn't it? However, that's actually not as uncommon in today's WNBA. Despite appearances, the league is full, with skill and several all-stars in one team is becoming the standard.
People argue the Aces on paper are a super team. The Mercury have Kat Copper, Satu, and Alyssa Thomas. They're a super team on paper. The Lynx are just a super team. They're not a super team players-wise, but they're a great team. They've all their pieces fit together.
You might now be curious as to whether Sydney Colson is the missing component that completes this fantastic team. Let's apply the brakes. That concept is unquestionably sound, however. Is she truly the distinction between? That's a stretch to say good and great.
Look, at best, she's a character actor, right? 2.5 points a game, like 1 assist a game, backup point guard.
This is where the Fevers get extremely strange. Being strong doesn't mean possessing a lot of. It is about how these players perform, superstars. Fit together, consider it a puzzle. Every component has a role, and the magic occurs when everything clicks.
Like, we know the links, every one of those pieces fits perfectly together. Every one of them complements the other players' weaknesses, strengths. You've got spacing, you've got defense, you've got everything with that links team.
You've had players with a range of abilities, many experiences that are all coming together. It goes beyond individual. Talent is about assembling a group of people who are more than the total of its components, which is how the Fever is acting, and it's intelligent basketball, but the real kicker comes after. The development of the Fever's roster is actually, they're employing some really ingenious, effective rookie deals for players. That is a significant benefit in contrast to teams managing several max contracts. Allows them the freedom to develop and the capacity to construct for future.
But like, there are loads of super teams. There are loads of super teams in the W, and there's always been super teams because it's 13 teams. You can have 4 max contracts players in the one team as long as you've got guys on rookie deals. So the Fever did a really good job in free agency.
Now, you may be thinking all well, but what? Why are fans freaking out over all the hype? Human nature is to perform well when something significant occurs, such as Caitlin Clark joining the craze that people begin to observe. Suddenly, there are conspiracies everywhere. Move appears dubious, but let's be honest. Briefly, the notion that the league is planning to assist Clark in winning that's not very professional, a championship. Sports don't require a big plan to succeed. It's simply shrewd teamwork and excellent timing.
Now, this is called assembling a championship team. This is what happens.
What is the true cause of the Fever? Then, they're forming a squad in the proper manner. They are seeking athletes who complement one another, not only celebrities who is capable of filling out a stat sheet. Assembling a squad that is balanced enough to compete every single night.
But my favorite part about this, again, is people losing their damn mind. People losing their mind, especially because the player that set it off was Sydney Colson. Missed 2 points per game, Sydney Colson. And I understand all the positive things Sydney Colson brings to a team. But Sydney Colson is not, I repeat, is not the difference between a team being good and a team being bad. Sydney Colson is a fine player, but that is it. She is not going to be the difference between your team being good and your team being a bad team.
Okay, let's get through past the cacophony and arrive at the core of what's actually happening here. You may believe that the Fever has some somewhat unfair advantage, although in actuality, they are merely playing the game. It's not about manipulating the system, smart, or purchasing a title. It's about assembling a group that collaborates like a well-lubricated machine, and this occurs in the NBA.
Miami Heat, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and a bunch of character actors. That's what these teams do, is they put together solid players, in some cases former stars, and coming into their twilight, and they become valuable pieces on championship teams. But nah, that's not what we're going to have, right? That's not what they're going to lead you to believe. They believe now the conspiracy is on for Caitlin Clark to get a championship.
You are aware of what a WNBA, according to the analyst, having. It is about how those players perform, superstars, praise one another, and cooperate inside the team system, which is just what the Fever is causing them to do more than just gathering well-known names. They're placing components that fit together.
The Fever did not come to play. They are on a mission to win now, like 2025 championship season incoming. They were so quiet during free agency. And in the past 24 hours, boom, 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 re-signed Kelsey Mitchell to a max deal. picked up Natasha Howard, bringing her back to the Indiana Fever, where she was originally drafted. And then they just announced a 3-way trade sending Alyssa Smith to Dallas and Sophie Cunningham coming to the Fever. This team in 24 hours just got exponentially better. Starting 5, Caitlin at the 1, Kelsey at the 2, Lexi Hall and Sophie can duke it out for the 3, Natasha Howard at the 4, Aaliyah Boston at the 5. But they still have space.
So that the next time someone tried to convince you of some crazy, keep in mind that conspiracy theory isn't regarding the league's pulling threads behind. The scenes are about a group of people creating clever maneuvers and following the guidelines. The true query is not if the Fever deceived in order to arrive here, whether they able to utilize all of this potential and convert it into on-court victories. Can you tell us what we should be looking for? I can't believe how thrilling this season is to be